open mic. Let's get the show off right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me, cause
It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight.
let's get the topic straight, let's get things good, let's do everything that we should.
It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right.
Let's open our minds and take out our style. Let's see what's going on in the world tonight.
It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right.
All right, what's going on, guys? This is once again another night of Project Open Mic with your host Tig right here. So we're gonna have a continuation of the topic that we talked about last week, which is we failed our kids. So we're gonna do a cool little recap of what happened last week, and continue with this because more things are coming up that we could talk about. But once again, let me just play. I'm gonna say let me put on my lovely mug here right there. And good night. This is your boy Tig of Project Open Mic, and I wanna wish everybody a good night. Hope everything is going well. We have so many things that's going on in the world right now, as usual, but we're gonna continue the conversation like I said last week. So to put out, I would like to hold people out there who are going through the storms. There was a hope that everything is going well for them. So those who had the storms in Texas with Hannah, and they had a storm that just passed through the Caribbean as well too. Hope that y'all doing well. And the storm didn't cause that much damage from Puerto Rico to Virgin Islands to Nevis, St. Kitts, like say Texas, Mexico, stuff like that. Hope that is not it was just rain. Because lately, we're in the state that I'm in right now, we began some also a lot of rain and some supercells lately as well too. Because there's someone was coming home, they had like hail and stuff. But hey, things happen, understandable. So I wish everybody out there safe, nice. So like I stated, we're gonna continue the topic that we had last week. So last week we had we talked about how we fail our kids, and I'm talking about in general terms, where we fail them in teaching them like to be individual, teaching them to be basically teaching them basic manners, teaching them how to critical think, teaching them simple sense, teaching them to stand on their own, give them the simple facts of simple stuff so they would not get caught up in for certain races in the system, but this applies generally to every race, just to get them well informed into the world, because not everybody is not made to go out to college. And not everybody is going to make it through college as well. And there are people who never went to college and became very, very successful. So there's a multi path. But the best thing to do to your kids is to well equip them in the world ahead. And I think we have done in general a bad job. The millennials have a certain way of doing things which has been bad, but they didn't get it. The millennials just not the generation that's bad itself. It's the people who taught them that, which are the parents. So I blame, like I said, I myself don't have kids. I raised just my sister and a couple nieces and nephews and help out. But I do apply this to me as I try to reach out to help a lot of young people so they could understand that the world works despite of what you think. So as I always stated, there's only you could only control. I can only control my hands, my feet. Those are the only act and those things can do. That's the only thing I can do. But understand that you can do great things with them. You can do bad things with them. But if you are ill-equipped, if you're not prepared, you know, you can go down a bad path. One, or a lot more misfortune can happen to you. Example, like I just talked about, the storms. Hurricane season comes between, June and November. Every year it comes. Now, you can prepare as best as you can for storms. You know that's gonna come. Save a little money to the side. Put food, store aside in case you have no power. Whatever you could. There's so many things I've been taught when I was in the Caribbean to do, and by my mom or grandma in case and to be prepared. Now, can a bad storm? You could prepare as best as you can. It could be a light year, and you'll never use one of the food or prepared with the batteries and the phone and all that stuff. That can happen. Doesn't mean that, oh man, I wasted my time preparing. No, you are prepared in case the storm happens, because there's a chance that you could get a bad storm that comes through that this whatever. Doesn't mean that you was prepared. It's just that the luck was on, like, so the world happened and you got a bad storm. You got a direct hit. There's times where the storm does just graze you, can do enough damage, but if you get a direct hit, you get a direct hit, things happen. So same thing goes with life. You the best thing is to prepare. You might not get everything you want. You might not get everything you need. You might not, you know, things happen that could change your life all without you, even if you do your best. It's just the way that you handle it. Accept some things you want to accept. I get it. But if I had a child, if I had a kid, like I did with my sister and whatever, did my best to help her prepare to understand, to get her the tough skin to understand that, yeah, certain things are gonna happen. So you deal with it. Do not feed into certain things and everything. We are human, understandable that, but prepare that, words are words. Understand in simple sense, as I call it. I don't call it common sense, because common sense means that it needs to be applied. That means common and everybody knows it, but we are losing this in the United States a lot now more. So, oh, and I forgot to say, so shout outs to the people in the broadcast neighborhood. I forgot about it. So shout out to Facebook, shout out to YouTube, and of course Tempo FM. Welcome for tonight's show. So I want to talk about let's say, so we're gonna continue the conversation. Again, if you have missed it, you can go back to Project Open Mic on YouTube. You get the replay of what I talked about in the last in part one. In part one, we talked about manners. We talked about how these kids don't know how taxes and the government works. And of course, I'll go into more intricate details in future videos and stuff like that. But you could go to that. You could go there and check out episode 6 and watch the entirety of it. So check this out. So tonight is a continuation. Now I did saw a video, but I couldn't edit it quick enough, so I'll do it. I have enough to do a part 3. So next week we'll be talking about a part 3. And again, for anybody out there who's watching through the usual stuff, again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us grow. Like I said, I'm partaking in this with my own money, my own for the first year. I'm trying this to hope you guys that I'm not asking you to donate or nothing. That may come later on, but to be honest with you, to be full disclosure and to be transparent with everybody. But at this point, I just wanted to share the words, share the conversation, because this is Project Open Mic. I know a lot of people ain't gonna agree with me. I get that. I understand that. That's the whole point of this, is open to have a conversation. That's the whole point of doing these shows on these different platforms, so people can understand where we're coming from. I have no problem engaging with people if you are civil and we could have a conversation. We all good. I don't go down the path of degeneracy with a lot of things, because there are such thing as a lost cause, because some people are set in their ways, and I get it. I am set in my ways too, but I'm open to somebody. If you bring me certain things, I will. I'm still at the age I am to learn. I've learned this year. I've learned stuff I never learned from certain people, and I'm thankful for them to teach me that, because I'm willing to open my mind and take part in a conversation with many people. Also, check out our new show called The Side Chat, which is me and Trip, as we also talk about different conversations. We just bring a conversation and stuff like that. So check that out. Tomorrow, hopefully we could figure out how the Zoom works and how to get that more people could join in if they want to join in and stuff like that. So tomorrow, basically, Side Chat happens between Friday or Saturday. It's been last 2 times been Friday, but we have more open to the conversation to more people with the chat and everything. So how's that work? And of course, you're gonna see more if you go to the YouTube video. We're gonna try to branch out to BitChute and also to Library, where we could have different more videos, of course, other than Andre's Corner and Project Open Mic and the Side Check. There should be another one called Straight Straight No Chases, where I just take single topics and just quick videos that you could share and stuff like that. So we'll be doing that. So again, thank you for giving me your time. As Andre would say, thank you for giving me your time, your eyes, your ears. Let's have the conversation. Let's continue what we're talking about tonight. So, as I stated before, when I was young, in the last show, I am happy that my mom introduced me to Encyclopedia Britannica. I am, with the glasses, you can see, I am a book nerd. I like to read. I know a lot of people like to see video. Kids now, are basically are triggered quickly with video more than reading. But they've done multiple studies and show that the kids reading some stuff stays in your mind more when you read it and you forget the stuff, because it fires different parts of your brains. But if I ever have kids, at a young age, I will teach them how to read as best as I can. If I ever have kids, that's just all to how that works out. But yeah, I'll teach them how to read, because they need to learn certain things early, and I want to be active in my children's life. So that's what I'll be doing. Now, there's a book. There have been a lot of people. I forgot that book. Dang it! I'll bring it up in the third part. I hope I can remember. Try to write that down. Like I said, I'm a one-man show, so to do all the camera angles to the camera and all the switching everything I'm doing this. That's why I say again, thank you for your time and your patience with me. But if you could help share Project Open Mic on YouTube, so we get more subscribers, so we get more to do audio podcasts, so people can listen to more to the show. And if you want to participate, just let me know to Project Open Mic t3@gmail.com, or if you have a Twitter, Project Open Mic on Twitter, or Project Open Mic Instagram if you want to do an interview, or like I said, I'm open to conversation of topics that I bring up. So you gotta remember that. Right now, I'm gonna stay on my face because I want to read to you something, because I brought up I have the convenience of keeping a lot of my work from when I was in high school. Um, this year was, shout outs to Charlotte and Molly. This was our, sadly that this happened this year because we graduated the year 2000, but this was our 20th anniversary. And a lot of people mostly Zoom and connect together and stuff like that. But I kept a lot of stuff. Like, one thing I'm proud of, like, I have my gym clothes and I still could fit in my gym shirt and stuff. Like, so I'm not, I have I haven't actively working, but I'm not at least gaining super weight or anything. That's a blessing in disguise. Thank you. But I have a lot of like artwork and stuff. And now that I move into this newer house that I have, which I want to do that at the end, I want to talk about something at the end about this, but I'm moving to this newer house that I have, right? I also kept a lot of artwork that I draw, and I'm gonna be putting them on the wall and stuff. So it's cool for me to keep certain things. But there's a thing that I kept that a lot of people, it's funny, and most people don't know about this book. So I want to read a synopsis I did in this book. And as if anybody, this is a good book for your kids to read, to get them in there, fourth, fifth grade, read with them, whatever. There are a lot of people the reason I said about a video a book and a video I missed, because there's a doctor that predicted about, there's a lot of people who predicted a lot of stuff, and they were correct. And it is eerily crazy how accurate to a point they get. And I'll show you that with other stuff in the future. Okay. But there's a book, and there's also a movie redemption of everything, but it's called it is called um 1984 by George Orwell. There's another book you got, Animal Farm, that also teach you stuff. Now, like I said many times before, if I'm doing any debates with anybody, or the true sense of the word argument, not being argumentative, but argument by debating, exchange of conversations and stuff, we have I always talk about human nature. There's some people who rise above it. There's some people who die because they didn't believe in it. And it's just human nature. As a collective, we do certain things. Again, like I said, the brain just act on things that's innate as best as we can. You just do it because you can't, because you don't, sometimes you don't think. Or, as people have said again, if you change certain things, people will adapt, good or bad. And human nature does certain things good or bad. And people forget about that when they think about their theories. A lot of theories in colleges today that think doing this and doing that will work great. Those are just theories. They never put into practice. And when they are put into practice, they are failed. And then because the person themselves the professors who didn't really did the experiment, did that, they say, oh, well, they didn't act it that right, but you didn't experiment, or they didn't go far enough. That's what they always say about socialism and capitalism. I mean, not capitalism, socialism and communism and stuff, and say, oh, that happened this way. Okay, if you say that, but we have enough evidence to show that human nature does certain things, but those people never enacted to that. Example was, again, and I noticed talking about the hurricanes and stuff, when there's a famous clip, or you could go check it out on YouTube, Google it, everything you want, where Bernie Sanders said that there are people lining up for bread outside. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I have been in basically a bread line, Bernie. That is not a good thing. I like it better when I could just walk to a store. I could pick up the bread I want, like what I'm doing right now. I basically bake my own bread now. But before, go to the store, have money, give it to a person to take whatever bread I want. Butter bread, raisin bread, cinnamon roll, whatever, have that. But to wait outside for bread is not a good thing. Like I said, I've been through being in the hurricanes in St. Thomas, Hurricane Maryland. It was not a good thing. And also seeing it as well too when it was the Hurricane Maria and was it Irma? But in 2007, the one that hit hit Puerto Rico, and the storm before that I hit Barbuda, which I'm saying more the two category five back to back category fives. I've seen it. It's not a good thing, Bernie. But as I said, human nature is very strong, and people think that just because we're humans and we have thinking that we could overcome our innate and animalistic nature. No, we're not. We are bred to survive. We're gonna do this. So massive people is gonna do that. So I just want to read the synopsis that I wrote down a long time ago about and this is good. Like I said, George Orwell, 1984, and think of what happened. As I will say this, think of what's going on today and related to what I'm reading my synopsis of it. It's a quite intriguing thing when you come to think about it, and I'm cool. I'm happy that I have this. I still have this what do you call it, version of the that I kept my synopsis. So I got a synopsis of that. I had to retype it back out because it was in paper form, and I didn't have a computer when I was. I had my neighbor's computer, but I didn't. I had to do work. 2000. Yeah, jeez, I didn't have a computer in my house, of course, but I had to write it down and everything, so I retyped it here. So, it was a cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Winston Smith, in a chin nuzzle into his breast, into effect to escape the vine while slipped quietly through the glass door of Victor's manor. Throughout, not quickly enough to prevent the swirling grin of dust for entering along with him. The hallway smelt of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. At one end of the colored poster, too large for the indoor display, had been tacked onto the wall. It depicted simply an enormous face, more than a meter wide, and a face of a man about 45, with the heavy black mustache and ruggedly handsome features. Winston made for the stairs. It was no use trying to lift, even at the bestest times, in a seldom working, and present the electric current was cut off during the daylight hours. Again, to preserve power, I'm gonna also get a little bit into it, but again, it's a good book to read. To preserve power, they say turn off the lights in the daytime. So sometimes, even though you might go to a building that's just dimly lit or you can't even see, but that was how this was. It was a part of the economy drive in preparation for Hate Week. The flat was 7 flights up, and Winston, who was 39 and had a vigorous ulcer above his right ankle, went slowly, resting several times on the way. On each landing opposite the lift shaft, a poster with an enormous face gazing from the wall, and was one of those pictures which was contrived of eyes following every move. Big Brother is watching you. The caption beneath ran. And a lot of people, if saying that, a lot of remember people like, oh man, the quote unquote white man's holding you down, or the state holding you on, the man's holding you down. Again, when we tell these young kids, these white leftist kids who are rioting and destroying stuff in certain cities, I never understand what, like, we want to give the government more power, but we want, but want to give the government more power, but then you're fighting the government right now because you don't like what the government is. It's a conundrum, and that's the part that always kill me, how easy the youth can be manipulated to do things that are not very good for them, and that's why I said we fail our kids. Inside the flat was a fruity smith. Sorry. Inside the flat, a fruity voice was reading out a list of figures which had something to do with the production of pig iron. The voice came from the oblong metal plaque, like the duly mirrored, which form of the surface of the right-hand wall. Winston turned to switch, and voice shaking somewhat. So the words are still being disagreeable. The instrument and the telescreen at the time was called could be dim, but there was a shuttering of there was, sorry, but there was no way of shutting off it completely. He moved over to the window, smallish, frail figure, a meagless of his body, merely emphasizing of the overall blue uniform that the party has wear. In this time, of course, they had one party rule. You had to wear this uniform so you know who you are and what it is. There's countries that does that, but again, this was written before all this. Where was I? His hair very fair in his face, naturally chagrined. His skin roughened, coarse by the coarse soap and the blunt razors that the cold winter had just ended. Because of that one party rule, you had to use only one set of stuff. You didn't have people. A lot of people need to understand that how you didn't have, because you didn't have, like, you can use different types of soap. You can do different types of razor. Some people out there, again an example, some people out there are Gillette. Some people are Harry. Some people are Schlick. Every people do something different. Maybe just a tad different. Prices work and everything else. Same thing with the soap. Some people have soap. There are people out there that soap, what you call it, degrades their skin. And you might need a gentler soap, Dove or something else or whatever. But one brand for everybody. That's how this utopia was created, that you should have one thing, one brand, and everybody should conform to that one thing instead of having everybody had the special needs of doing certain things. Outside, even though outside, even though they shut down the window pane, the world looked cold. Down in the streets, little eddy of winds were whirling dust of torn paper in spirals. And though the sun was shining in the sky, harsh blue, it seems to be no color in anything except the posters that were pastely plastered everywhere. The black mustache gazed down from every commanding corner. There was one on every house front immediately opposite. Big Brother is watching you, the caption says. And while the dark eyes looked down into Winston's own, down the street, level, another poster, torn at one corner, flapped flatly in the wind, and ultimately uncovering a single word of INGSOC. In the far distance, a helicopter skimmed down between the roof lines for instant, like a blue bottle, and darted again with a curved light. It was the police snooping in to people's windows, patrolling. Didn't matter whatever they were doing, only their thoughts mattered. These was called the thought police. Just to let you know what they were talking about, they were called the thought police. Behind Winston's back, a voice from the telescreen was still babbling about pig iron and the overfulfillment of the ninth third year plan. The telescreen received a transmission simultaneously. The telescreen received a transmission simultaneously, and the sound of Winston made above level of a very low whisper would be picked up by it. Moreover, so long that they remembered with the field of vision which the mental plaque commanded. He could be seen as well as heard. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment, how often, or on what system. The thought police plugged into individual wire were guesswork. And it was even conceivable that they watch every and all people at all time, but at any rate could plug in to where you were whenever they wanted. You had to live, did live, from the habit that became instinct, in the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, except in darkness, in every moment scrutinized. At this point right now, there's in China, you have a system where they spy on you every single second. They know what you're doing, what you're doing. The money is through the government. Your phone is through the government. You like Facebook, is all that's going through the government. So any disdain that you put up, you are basically get low on the grade scale. Or, as I give an example, and it's not exactly, there's a true fact of it. In communism, you believe in the people. If you believe in any entity, if you're a Rastafarian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Christian, if you believe in an entity that's not the leader, as they were saying about the man itself or Big Brother, if you don't believe in that, you are considered a dissident, and that could go, that's punishable all the way up to death. That is happening in this world today. When I see people say about, oh, America did, try Venezuela, Russia, and China, they got it beat. How crazy this thing is. Again, no matter what religion you think on, or whatever it is, as I just listed off, difference, you are dissidents if you don't believe that the leader is the supreme leader. Human, you're giving a deity to a human, other than, again, to Christianity, Muslim, Buddhism, Rastafarianism, anything you think of. Behind Winston, back of the voice, the telescreen still okay, sorry, read that already. Winston kept his back turned to the telescreen. It was safer, though, as he well knew, even a back can be revealing. A kilometer away from the Ministry of Truth, oh, that is, like I said, read the book. It's very interesting. This place of work towards vast and white above the grimy landscape. This, he thought, within the short vague distance and the dissolution, it was London, chief city of the airstrip one. It was the third most populous province in Oceania. He tried to squeeze out some childhood memory that should tell him whether London had always been quite like this, where they always visit the rotten 19th century houses, their size shortened up by the block timber, their windows patched with cardboard, their roofs with cudgel iron, their crazy garden walls sagging in all directions, and a bombed out site where plasters dust swirl in the air and the willow herbs struggle to even grow. In a place where a bomb was cleared large paths and had spurred up suddenly Soloid, jeez, I apologize. Soloid colonies of wooden dwellings like chicken houses, but in but it was no use. He could not remember nothing, remembering his childhood except for the series of bright lit tribunes occurring against the background, mostly adequate. The Ministry of Truth, or should I say Newspeak, was extremely different from any other object site. It was enormous. It was pyramidal structure, glittering with white corners, soaring up to the high heavens, terrace to terrace, 300 meters into the air. From where Winston stood, it was just possible to read and pick out what the white face letters and the slogan of the party, one party. And the slogan was, war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. Now, in this book that I'm talking about, 1984, again, go ahead and your kids should read it. This was written back in the 1940s, talking about how it's gonna think. If you read it, it's where the comparisons we have to this thing up to this day. Ministry of Truth, which are people who tell you what the truth is, no matter if you have the facts. We have problems going on right now where they're trying to tell you, that there are only two sexes. We know that, but they say no, there's multiple. Even Facebook has like 54 different versions. No, there's not. But again, that's how they all do this thing, of course. And also in this book, they also have talked about how to get the things that they do to get people to conform to what they need to do. One of the most famous part in the book, which is funny how ironically that's happening right now. There's a thing going through America right now called Common Core for math. Now, math has been the most objective thing over the years, from Asia to Greeks to everything. That math has been that. Japanese, Black, Africans, has been that. But funny, now they're trying to make math racist and they're trying to make math subjective. Now Common Core is saying that 2 plus 2 equals 5. Funny enough, because in the book, that's what they were trying to convince Winston to do. They said, he's like, they keep on pressuring him and say, what is 2 plus 2? 4. What is 2 plus 2? 4. No, 2 plus 2 is 5. No, what is 2 plus 2? 4. No, 2 plus 2 equals 5. They were trying to beat it into him to take out the last bit of hope that he has in the of objective thinking. So you don't have no individualism in it at all. And that's the sad part. And that is going on right now where they're teaching kids now Common Core. Again, funny how this matches up. And they're trying to, if you tell a kid, 1 plus 1 equals 2. Yeah, but 1 plus 1 can equal 3. No, it don't. How can 1 plus 1 equal 3? Well, 1 plus 1 can feel like 3, and we should give you a point because it feels like that is not true. If you're in it, if you're listening to my voice in it, wherever, and you go to you and you're a big part of your children's activities in school, I will say this: please make sure that Common Core is not a part of the math, because that is not good for the future of your kids and this country as well, but for your kids as well. Reject the Common Core thing. Again, name of the book is is basically 1994, George Orwell. Please check it out. If you have young kids around, like I said, 4 or 5, teach them about this. Let them learn, so they can learn about certain things. Now, the reason I point out this as a situation, Because again, as you can see on your screen, a black person that came from the Caribbean, but a black person, a lot of our history has been twisted. Now, a lot of people have said in the past, if somebody controls the history, they can control the future. That is true, and take over the present. George Owen was basically saying that in that 1984 freeze time, stop history. I'm paraphrasing. Change street names, change the television. Like it's just weird. Again, back and forth going on right now, but history has been. Let me put it this way: a lot of people say history is taught by the victors, and when I was young, I thought that was true. It's not. Even the losers can change histories. That happens in China, that happened in Russia, that happened in America. There's a lot of people who don't know about what's going on in their past. Now, I'm a person that would say, yes, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Yes, most majority of my, being I'm young, a lot of people, I know that I have slavery is a part of my history. And being that I'm black and most people being black have been in the past, yes, we've been slaves. But I was never that. My grandma was never that. I don't even know if her mother was that, but I don't know. But as I said before, my grandmother never taught me to hate people. I grew to this because of certain dislikes. I'll state to that. But my grandmother never taught me to really to do something. They just tell me do the best you can and move forward. And I think that's the best way to teach kids as well too. Because technically speaking, if you have an open mind, you can find people from different races that could help you no matter what's going on. That's why I said my people's not black people, my people's good people. Because shout outs to Kenji, a dude I've worked with many times in Japan. Johnny P, rest in peace. He was from France. Oh man, John, a really good dude. George Rooks, of course, who gave me my first radio show, Radio T3. I mean, not George. Sorry, Julian Cox, and George Rooks, who gave me the chance to do T3 Records. And I'm a black guy, white guy. Like I could go to a list of people who have been a partner on my journey so far in life. But in each of those cultures, in each of those races, I could find people who have did me wrong. So that's why I will prepare my kids to say, "Hey, you don't have to say mind mind thinking the same way, but your culture, your core should be at least on the same path to know what's going on." And these people's core was on the same as me, so we moved on and better both each other, help each other in the way of bettering both ourselves. The reason I'm saying that because again, there are people who are unlikely to help you. And I'll be showing videos of that again in the future. You'll see it maybe through the short version videos you'll see on YouTube. But like again, you could check out these people. You could check out Hamilton for F1 Formula One F racing. How what his father did, and to get him to be one of the richest thing, one of the most successful black man in Formula One, and he dominates. I also look at it, and I know people don't agree with this, but hey, again, you ain't have to. I'm not looking for 100% agree with me all the time because I don't want a mind slave. I want somebody who openly think. But when people tell me, "Oh man," as I showed in the last video, when people like, "Oh, America is a racist country" and all that stuff, I've said it again. Racism is a part of tribalism. Tribalism is the core of what our human nature is. We're going to do it. We're not going to end it. Can we better ourselves? Can we teach our kids to look out for stuff like that? Yes. But as much as I don't, as much as bad as a sun, what do you call it, sunburn is, I could prepare for it. I'm not gonna destroy the sun. Okay, it's the same thing with the racism, the tribalism, and colorism, the classism. All these isms have gone into certain things that not really great. So, in my point of bringing that up, is where where we're back to where we're talking about the history. I want to play you a, which is sad, but I gotta do it. It just is, and this is why I said we don't teach our kids that. If I ever get a child, if I ever get a child, boy or girl, I'm gonna say yes. We're black. We were, long time ago. Our ancestors were slaves. But I can tell you right now, hey, that does not upheld. That does not hold you back. Because again, if this country was systematically bad and racist and all the stuff that people keep on saying, the NBA wouldn't have majority of black people sports who are millionaires. Same thing with the NFL. Go to baseball, majority of the millionaires in the baseball sports athletes are black, but mostly Hispanic. They're mostly Hispanic, and they worth hundreds of millions of dollars. If this was this thing, then those people should have never had that. Oprah wouldn't have be worth billions of dollars. So with the Jay Z's, the TIs, all that stuff, the $100 million, and let's get it straight because I know about this true hip hop. Majority of the people who buys the hip hop music is not black people; it's mostly white. So just again, how that works is weird. But people think differently. You go to those some of those concerts back in the day, in the big concerts, mostly white people's going around more than the black thing. Minks, they know it, but let's not pretend. But again, these sports have made millionaires, hundreds of millionaires. Now, the sad part about it is nobody was there to teach a lot of these athletes and these rappers and stars to not to how to use their money wisely. Because said that you worth $100 million and then you become in your 50s and you don't have a penny to your name. Sad. We need to teach our kids economic responsibility, and that may be a topic we'll talk about tomorrow about the student debt load and stuff tomorrow on the side chat if everything works out good. But let's just let me see here. I want to start off. Oh, I do want to start off on this before I go down this path and show you examples. Today, of course, a lot of people taking joy and evil. Like I said last week, what I said with John Lewis, I said again, John Lewis fought for civil rights. He worked, he was arrested, he got harassed, he got brutalized by the cops in a civil fight. Most of the John Crow rules, Jim Crow rules. Sorry, Jim Crow rules was by Democrats, but again, just telling you the truth. Jim Crow rules, he got that, and I respect the man for doing what he did. Now, again, he went into government, and the old saying of absolute power corrupts absolutely happened, and he became a corrupt politician after being in Congress for decades. Doesn't take away what he did for the civil rights and what he did for black people back in the past. I'm not denying that. I respect the man for that, but I can't respect that you became a part of the problem by the power. I've stated it over and over again. On the left side, on the neck, that's John Lewis. If you go on the opposite the aisle, John McCain, he was a war person. He did got his arm broke. He was a war hero through what he have done. But when he became a senator, he did not he was a bad senator. I'm not gonna so I could give to what he did as a war, but he was a bad senator. I'm not gonna praise somebody for what they did. It was bad. When people elected you and you elected you to do something, and you were the deciding vote, and you went against what the people who elected you did. That's kind of a SE move. So both, that's a Democrat, that's a Republican, left, right, whatever. People, I could respect what they did, what happened in the past. But when you get into this power structure and you become corrupted, yeah, it's not a good thing. So today we had news, like I said, so, and again, I respect both of them for what they did. but I'll state to what it is. So today, of course, news came out that basically a president candidate that a lot of people didn't like per se, which is Herman Cain. Respect to him as well too. Now I want to talk again. It's crazy how they always say you don't want to run for become a politician because the evils of only corrupt people can run for being a politician, and not good men and women. I'll make it that good men and women can't run because they will tear you down so badly. They will tear you down so bad. So Herman Cain, of course, became a president in 2012, wanted to run for president. When he started surging, then the political machines came after him. White lady came to say he had an affair and he was abusing her. Funny how that, and as soon as that dropped, as soon as that he came down in the polls, the lawsuit that she had and the situation she had to go against him just disappeared. He didn't sell out of court or nothing like that. She just did her damage. And then after that, because again, if you did me wrong like that as a female, if I was a female and you did those things wrong and I have the evidence, I want to put you away. I do not want you to just do this and then leave it there. No, I want to put you in jail, give you the evidence, let's go to trial. If you're that convicted in what you're going to do, let's get a conviction. That's something I want. But it's just sad how that just fritters away. So of course, like I said, he ran for president. So because of that, that's why he's star right now. But he still do great things and do stuff. Yes, he died from COVID. He had died from that. Not it's sad that he went that way. But hey, that's one of my reasons I've said I am not against wearing the mask. I'm not against be cautious, and we got to do stuff. But I don't think you still lock down the economy because again, the evils of locking down the economy to get people more desperate and whatever is way worse than what the disease can. But I am not saying that the disease cannot do bad things, and do not be 100% careful. Use your own judgment. My thing has always been, please use your own. One, I want them to get the true facts, which they don't give us, so we can make intelligent thing. And there are not a lot of intelligent people. I get it, but let us make the decision. Because again, I already have control over me. That's it. I want to control that. I don't want nobody else telling me certain things. But again, I'm in the middle of this thing. Like I said, take this virus very serious. But I don't think we should lock down the economy for it because the evils of the economy locking down is way worse as we are seeing right now. But the reason I said I respect the man, and I'll show you a short clip of what one of the main reasons I respect the man. When he was running, he did certain things that I like, that I wish a lot of from the president now, from the president in the past, from a lot of congressmen and women and senators could do, but it don't. And would that implemented if he had got into power, like I just said with John Lewis, and he had changed? Maybe, maybe not. I do not know. But I do understand what he stands for in that point. One of them was when the media tried to hit, because again, I'm a libertarian, and when a libertarian candidate, they hit him with, you don't know what is, excuse me. Aleppo was the capital for Syria and stuff like that, and they felt bad. Like he should have not. They try to say glib. I was like, okay, you could say certain things, okay, but they were trying to say, oh, you didn't know this, whatever. And again, if it was me, to be honest, and this reporter trying to be smart and smart about things, I'm like, no, I didn't know that is okay. Do you know the capital of Nevis? And I guarantee you that reporter would have that known. Do you know the capital of St. Thomas? Do you know the capital of Trinidad? Hell, some of these people don't even know the capital cities of their states. but they try to pretend that they know and all that stuff, and that irks me. Now, the Libertarian president candidate at that time did a good job of kind of doing certain things. No, but at the time they did the same thing to Herman Cain. And Herman Jackson, do you know the capital of and the president of Uzbekistan? And of course, the clip is funny. He was like, I don't know who the person of Uzbekistan, Stan, Becky, whatever. But if you continue, of course, that's the short version. But they continue. He's like, no, but if I come president, I will learn. If I have to talk to Uzbekistan, I will be caught up with Uzbekistan, which is a great answer, but that don't work for the glib of news media. Of course not. That how that works out. Another thing, he had the whole 999 plan. I don't think he could implement that one because it was just catchy, but I don't think he could implement that. Just to be honest, I think that was a far-flung plan. But another one that he had, which I agreed 100% with, was, and Jon Stewart, who again, I like Jon Stewart as a comedian, and the Daily Show is a certain way too. It's sorry, Trevor Noah was a bad replacement in my opinion, but whatever. Everybody has their own opinion. I'm just sharing mine in that regard. But Herman Cain had said that he said, if we're gonna pass bills should not be no more than 3 pages. And Jon Stewart made jokes of that, of course. But the thing about it, I agree with Herman Cain. Why do all these bills need to be 15, 20,000 pages? Why? Why do they need to be that? The Affordable Health Care Act, which is aka Obamacare, there was 7,000 pages. Nobody read 7,000 pages. Okay? Nobody in Congress, nobody in Senate, not even the president. He said he didn't read it. Exactly. And remember the famous quote of Nancy Pelosi saying, when I asked her what's in the bill, they said, we need to pass the bill to find out what's in the bill. I'm like, no, I'm not going to sign a contract without knowing what's in the contract, Miss Pelosi. I think that's kind of messed up. But I with Herman Cain when he said he needs to be no more than 3 pages. It tops 3 pages. And I was having a conversation with my co-host for the side chat trip. We're talking about that. He said, yeah, you need to know detail. No, you don't need detail, most details. Again, it goes back, I will say it again, the devil's in details. If you're going to pass a stimulus check to help people in a house like we have right now, say, hey, we're going to give $1,200 to people under $75,000. All that can be written in 3 pages that anybody here can read. Not 50 pages, not 50,000 pages, not 14,000. Nobody have the time to read all this stuff. And Herman Cain was that. It should be 3 pages. Again, the explanation I have again with the hurricanes that happened along with Hurricane Sandy in New York. The bill should have been, we're going to give New York and New Jersey $54 million so they could fix everything. It was more than that. I think it was billion. But again, let's just go with the situation I'm saying right now. $1 million. It should have been that. But within those pages, so the Congress allocated $54 million, but only $2 million went to those states, those 2 million states. That's why I think it was 54 billion. I mean, if I have to be honest, that's what it was. $54 billion, $2 billion were between New Jersey and New York, and the rest of 52 billion went around the country. But they used the nice of this. This is the Sandy Hurricane Care Act and all this crappy words. These names they come with these bills so they could sound nice. Oh, it's annoying. It's so annoying. You are correct, sir. Double A, who's my media consultant. You're correct. Not many people will read the details. That's how they always do. And sometimes the details are diversions. Actually, that is true. I always use, there's a video I did a long time ago on the channel on YouTube where I talk about what they say. The bill could be like, give grandma $1,000. But when you look into the bill, it's like 50 million goes to NASCAR, 40 billion goes to the Arts Institute of this and all this nonsense. And then only a few money goes to the $1,000 to grandma. So I respected Herman Cain on that yes, that 3 pages. Again, these bills should not be stacks on papers. This should not be where all politicians sticking to help their friends, their buddies, black, white, Hispanic, nothing. I don't care what color race you are, to do all these evils through Congress. That's why when people laugh, they say, oh, we need to look into the President Donald Trump's tax bills and all that stuff. And if you can, you will not find nothing, because the state of New York will go for as much money they can. And trust me, the IRS wants their money. Don't get me wrong. But people say, oh, he did this and that. No, what he did was legal, because tax all these Congress women and men and senators that passed these bills. These are loopholes that they passed to help their friends and themselves. I always laugh when people try to tell me, "Oh, we should tax the rich. Democrats want to tax the rich." I break it down simple for them. You're telling me Nancy Pelosi, who's rich, Maxine Waters, who's rich, a lot of these Democrats who are rich are gonna tax themselves? No. They create loopholes so they don't get taxed. I'm not gonna tax myself for whatever. And if you think that they're gonna tax themselves, please, they're not. And as I explain how people need to understand how these young kids need to understand the economics. Again, you when you tax certain people a certain income. Again, remember, everybody's like, oh, we need to stop the 1%. The 1% pays for more than 50% of what the poor people ever even use in welfare and everything else, black, white, or whatever. They pay majority of their taxes. That 1 year that made sure right out talk about they had, she was like, I have Donald Trump's President Trump's tax forms. He paid $33 million in taxes for 1 year. I will never make that in my lifetime. Nevertheless, we gave the government $33 million for who? For them to give to their friends, their crony, all that nonsense. Oh, it's just despicable thinking about it right now. That's just how it's set up to be. It's sad that's how it goes. But again, so I'm gonna go into a reason again right here. Bring it up. Another thing about Herman Cain that I respect, and I respect this for a lot of black people, as I give you Susan Shank, what she did, and I follow in paths of those people, because I would never try to hold back my kids in a certain way. I was like, hey, if you work hard and you do what you got to do, you can make it. I keep it in the bounds of reality, but you can make it. I'm not saying that if you're 5'4" and you work hard, that you could be in the NBA. There are exceptions. Spud Webb, Muggsy Bogues, they are there, and there's more people I could think of. But I'm just going from when I used to watch basketball a lot. There were people who had that ups, who could have that, who worked hard. But let's be honest, the chances and the probability of that is very small that you would do that. Not saying you, again, within the chances of reality. So I always said, here's the thing I would say: prove, if somebody tells you something, don't prove them right, prove them wrong. Because there's many times people is like, when I was like, where I have a debate or I'm talking to people and I say, okay, you give me this, let me prove this, whatever. Just like when people say that, hey, you should not do certain things because they're gonna tell you that these same people gonna call you the N word. Okay, they'll call me the N word, and that doesn't bother me. One is a word. it is a despicable word, but it's not a fine word. I'm not gonna find somebody for calling me that, but they're gonna call me that, but I prove it wrong by not dressing like a thug, got my pants down, doing things that I should not be doing. I prove you wrong by being me and being an upstanding person as I am, not trying to get myself in trouble as best I can. Doesn't mean, like I said before, doesn't mean that some cases can happen again. Yes, I have been pulled over multiple times. Had the last time I got pulled over by a cop, I beat the case because I know I could have beat it, and it was not this year. I think it was 2 years ago. I got pulled over and I was like, what? But I got pulled over multiple times. Driving while black, as people want to say, okay, yeah, didn't get crazy, didn't get belligerent, didn't whatever. I was just like, how funny things are. And it's not again, and the first ticket I ever got in America was a black cop pulling me over, lied on me, went to the judge, a black woman, and she still convicted me, even though it was impossible by logical standards. But of course, they wanted the money. So the speeding ticket went through and whatever. Because again, I never understand how the hell I'm speeding. I'm going 85 and a 55 beside a major mall at Christmas Eve 5 o'clock traffic. It was bumper to bumper traffic, but I don't know how that happened, but whatever. I digress from that. So, but again, I like that people who, if you prove them wrong, they tell you certain things, you're like, okay, let me do this. Okay, I'll prove you whatever. So I want to hear a clip from a movie called Uncle Tom. Again, people always think Uncle Tom is a derogatory term. Again, if you read Tom's Cabin, you know who Uncle Tom is, but people use it as a word as, again, because they don't know the history about it. Again, you call me Uncle Tom, I'm happy with that because I know I help my people in the word of they saying it, but again, they never read the book. Again, this is why I went back to what I'm talking about, reading the book. Anyway, so let's get to that situation here. Let me play that for you.
I had a college student ask me one time, how did you deal with color and race when you were climbing the corporate ladder? My answer, I didn't. Let them deal with it. I didn't focus on that. I didn't have time. I went to the president of the Pillsbury Company and said, I need to get involved in some other aspects of the corporation because I want to run one of the business units one day. So he said, we need a lot of leadership in Burger King. You have to go and spend 2 weeks at Whopper College. There really is a Whopper College in Miami. I graduated summa cum laude. I was working for the Department of the Navy. The same day that I started, another white gentleman named Robert started working there also. We had very similar jobs. So the first 12 months, I got outstanding performance 4 quarters in a row. Second year, outstanding performance 4 quarters in a row. And Robert got outstanding performance. But Robert was getting his GS salary increase at least 2 months sooner than me. So I went to Wayne, my supervisor, and said, Robert and I are both doing a great job. He said, yeah. So why is he getting little increases quicker than me? He said, he has a master's degree. I said, oh, it's not because he's white? Nope. He has a master's degree. So you know what I did? I didn't get mad. I went and got me a master's degree.
There are only 4 rungs to this ladder.
Went back, sat down with Wayne. I said, well, I got a master's degree. I said, the next time you have opening for a promotion, I said, keep me in mind. See you around. And not long after that, they had a special project called a rocket assisted projector. They had to have someone who was going to be the GS-13 supervisory mathematician to do the special ballistics on this rocket assisted projector. I got the promotion. And I had 8 white people working for me. It was all about performance, not the color of your skin. So since I now had that master's degree and I had proved myself, I got the job. When I decided to leave Dalburn, never forget the department head, and he called me in for an exit interview. And I never forget Russ. I think he's deceased now. He said, you know, you have taught me something. I said, what? He said, I had never worked with a black person before. You taught me don't judge somebody by the color of their skin.
Mad respects for that. Prove them wrong. That's what I like to do. I don't care what color you are, but again, R.I.P. Herman Cain and his wife. That what you had to go, including his wife, that we had to go through what that lady did back in 2012, which is despicable. But yeah, prove them wrong. That's the best way you could quell your haters. Prove them wrong. Work hard. Do it legally as best as you can. I'm not down with the whole illegal stuff. But work hard. Do it your way, legally, and prove them wrong. Because there's one thing I learned too is that I rather fail my way than fail listening to you, because then I'll second guess myself. Because at that time could have been lucky. It could have been the luck or the opportunity was the right spot. If my idea would work, whatever, I'd rather fail on my own and take responsibility that I fail on my own. Because there's things I've done making T3 records, and I'm like, wow, I tried and I failed and I learned from it. One, but two is like I took responsibility. Like, wow, that was a stupid idea, or whether I did that, whatever. I know not to do that, and it opens up my mind to listen to other people and incorporate the ideas. They might have some aspects of their ideas that happen. There's many young people that I've talked to that I'm trying to get to work into my documentary of the Black Curse. I'm trying to do. Shout out to my boy Chris. He was, he did certain things. He came to me, asked me advice about the music industry, about certain things, and he did it a little different still. And he's like, yo, I thank you for giving me the props. So I did it this way, but it worked out still for me. And I said, dude, here's what it is. It's cool that you did it your way. That's awesome. I'm not offended. I'm happy that you took the words I have and molded it in your way and it worked for you. There was my, I should say, just in case, because I want to work with this person again. But let's say a certain person didn't want to listen to the advice I have to say, and it backfired in her face. I did not say, "Hey, I told you so." I just hope that she learned what happened, and she goes from there. I'm not gonna put it in her face. I get advice. It's up to you to take it and not leave it. Now, if I do it multiple times and you keep on repeating the same nonsense over and over again, then that's where I'm like, okay, no, whatever. But the first to a second time, and you do it, it's up to you to take the advice I gave. I'm not offended if you didn't use it at all, or you use some of it, none of it. It doesn't bother me. You came to me, I gave you my honest opinion. You took it, you go into with it, and it worked out the way it worked out for you. Because again, we all are individuals. The opportunity, the luck, everything is different for all of us. So, but what Herman Cain just showed is one of the things, like I always tell people, and we're like, oh, he saw that this white man is getting more whatever. This is one of the few, and I do mean few times, that you could shoot a performance and you could say, hey, this, and this, and you prove it. Did he get, as he said, he didn't get angry when he was like, yeah, he has a master's degree. And and there you go. He had a master's degree, Herman Cain didn't. So he had something. That's why I saw people like, oh, equal pay, blah, blah, blah. Nobody hired, barely anybody hired at the same time, unless you started a company, the company just started and blah, blah, blah. But you don't have the same experience. You don't have the same experience. You don't have the same education. And also it depends on how much performance you put into what you're doing. All that changes, so that's why you would never get the exact same pay. That's just like a corporation, like I said, in corporate America, how that works out. When I'm talking about that, like if you're a cashier or grocery stocker or Amazon, whatever, because that's just on general pay for everything else. But if you're talking about performance-based stuff, like Herman Cain said, you know what? Went. He didn't say, oh, blah blah blah. No, he went, got his master's. Next time you consider me for have a promotion open, I'm your guy. And again, he changed the guy and said, wow, I never worked with this person, but you told me to never judge him. That's what happened. I've done that. Has happened to me with other people saying, well, you're not this person like everybody else. No, because I'm individually myself. That's why I want to teach kids, like I said, to stand on your own. That is something that we need to teach our young kids about this. Another thing I'm gonna go through right now is, again, trickling back to how what do you call it? Trickling back down to the history that we've been told and all that stuff. And again, again, as I said before, history can be told by the losers if they gain enough power to change history. And that has happened in America over and over again, but people don't see it. People don't see it. So let me play another clip right here that's just gonna be helpful to, how should I put this one? Let's just go with it. Let's just go with it.
1619, they were slaves. They'd been captured against their will. The first African Americans into the English colonies came to Point Comfort, Virginia in 1619. They were slaves. They'd been captured against their will. But they landed in colonies that didn't have slavery. There were no laws about slavery in the colonies at that time. The United States didn't inherit slavery from anybody. We created it.
This is exactly why I said certain people is gonna get away with this. Losers can tell the way it is too. I'll let the video roll so you see what I'm talking about, because it's crazy what that person said. But people believe it because of certain things, and it's sad. And this is why I say we're not teaching our kids this kind of stuff. I wonder if I can put it in a way that is not. Oh, yes, I can. Should be able to do it that way. That's it. I'm a one-man thing.
It got
One-man
created
show
by the Virginia General Assembly and the legislatures of other states. It got created by the court systems in colonial America and sense that enforced fugitive slave laws. We created it.
When and where and under what circumstances did the first human being reach the terrible decision that it was okay to reduce other human beings to slavery? We've no idea, but slavery was definitely being practiced in the 3rd and 2nd millennia BC by the Mesopotamians, by the Egyptians, and later by the early Hebrews.
Mesopotamia, 4000 BC. In this broad, rich plain between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Sumerian people abandoned their nomadic ways and established the first known agricultural communities. They soon learned that successful farming requires more labor than they have. The Sumerians realized that by abandoning their traditional practice of slaying all prisoners taken during wars with neighboring peoples, they can create a ready supply of field workers. Why not enslave them instead? As other civilized nations evolve throughout the Middle East and Asia, each develops its own unique system of enslavement. In Egypt, for example, there is little need for foreign slaves. Under the Egyptian law called corvée, all citizens are considered the property of the ruling pharaoh and required unconditionally to do his bidding.
Egyptians made a surprising agreement on a sheet of papyrus. New research by the University of Copenhagen shows contracts, found in the sand where the desert town Tebtunis once was, indicate that poor Egyptians willingly exchanged their freedom for lifelong servitude.
I'm your servant with my children and the children of my children.
These papyri are the earliest well-documented examples of the phenomenon of voluntary slavery.
Experts now believe that this corvée labor built the Great Giza pyramids and not foreign slaves as was previously thought.
We're dealing with people at the very bottom of the social hierarchy, and these are people who are eligible for forced labor. In order to avoid forced labor, these people could sign up as temple slaves and thus gain asylum in the ancient temples.
Slavery existed all over the world, but in general was of minor economic and social significance. What is distinctive about Western civilization is the fact that in its origins it is so closely tied with the growth of slavery. It was there at the beginning with the rise of the ancient Greeks.
As we've already seen, slavery existed in Greece in the Mycenaean period from around 1600 BC. By the end of the 8th century BC, at the very latest, slavery was so much a part of everyday life that even if you had been poor, you'd have owned a slave.
As Greek society declines, the Roman Republic rises to take its place as the world's preeminent slave society.
The remarkable thing about Rome is that it was even more dependent on slavery than Greek society, ancient Greek society, and may have been more dependent on slavery than any subsequent society.
By the dawn of the first millennium AD, Roman expansion ends and the empire begins a slow, inexorable 400-year decline. Ironically, it is in this decline that Roman slave society makes perhaps its most enduring mark on history, the beginnings of a new religion.
Christianity really emerged at the height of Roman slave society, and inevitably it was colored by the fact that many of its earliest advocates and leaders were ex-slaves. It's the only religion of all the great religions which made being free central to its creed. Freedom, spiritual freedom. It's what redemption means. So what Christianity did was to take what was the most powerful experience and ideal of its early congregation, that they were freed, and use it as a metaphoric source.
Mecca, 7th century AD. Islamic forces under the leadership of the Prophet Muhammad win control of the Middle East and Northern Africa. Muslims rely heavily on slave labor, much like the cultures before them, and Muslims turn to trading as their main supply. Huge Islamic caravans begin traveling throughout the known world in search of slaves. They bring back white Europeans, Asians from India and China, and black slaves from a previously untapped source, sub-Saharan Africa. In 650 AD, Islamic caravans invade Africa and begin trading with the black tribes they find there. In exchange for iron and copper weapons and tools, the Islamic traders take away rich caches of gold, salt, and slaves. Historians estimate that as many as 18 million Africans are sold into the Islamic slave trade between 650 and 1905. In 1415, the Portuguese prince Henry the Navigator captures the city of Ceuta in Morocco and begins exploring the African coast. Henry's sailors become the first Europeans to import black slaves when they ship 10 West Africans to Portugal and sell them. In 1481, Portuguese forces build a fort on the African Gold Coast at Elmina, formally staking their claim to the area. The increased military presence brings an end to the Islamic slave monopoly and provides the foundation for Portugal's eventual exportation of African slaves to the Americas.
According to an article by Professor Dr. Hakim Adid, the Portuguese began enslaving Africans in the 15th century when they arrived on the African continent for the purposes of trade. Around that time, they were enslaved Africans among other enslaved and free populations in Portugal.
21 years after the establishment of the fort at Elmina, Portuguese traders delivered the first African slaves to the Spanish colonies of the New World. In 1502, transatlantic traders begin bringing African slaves to the New World.
So even though it wasn't the only or necessarily most widespread form of slavery at the time, this 15th century precedent would set the stage for later decisions surrounding slavery that were to come in during colonization in the Americas. The first enslaved Africans arrived in the North American colonies under control by the British, the areas that would later become part of the US, in 1619, when 20 were forcibly transported to Jamestown, Virginia by the Dutch.
American Southern slavery was unusual because the preponderant use was very specialized to produce goods for export. In addition to that, the American slavery is unusual, of course, because of the different race of the owners and the slaves.
It is this pall of racism that ultimately turns the tide of public opinion against the practice of slavery.
The United States didn't inherit slavery from anybody. We created it.
Sure. Tim Kaine, you moron. Anyway, stuff like that. And again, the trade wouldn't ever happen because, as it's funny, for people who are religious and in Christianity or in Judaism or the Old Testament, they had slavery. As they said, the Egyptians, remember Moses freed his people. They had slavery. It's an American thing. And majority of the slaves that came from Africa to across the Atlantic went towards Brazil than the north. As you can say, the first people were 10 slaves. But again, and of course, the Native Americans, the Mayans, the Peruvians, the Incas, they also in their texts or stuff, it's just text, and also in their scribes on the wall, short slavery. So it's in America already by the Native Americans. Tribes war against each other, which happened in Africa, which happened in, again, putting it in perspective for people so they can understand. The Native Americans went against other tribes. That's why I say it's a part of tribalism. That's the core, because in your mind, you want, if you're a tribe, to gather with somebody so you could survive. The tribe fought another tribe, and then they enslave the tribe that lost. That happened that happened in nomadic regions all over the world before 1619. That's so crazy. Before that, the Incas, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the tribes that's also, the Cherokees, the Blackhawks, all those, Apache, same thing. You go to the Pacific, you have the Samoas and the different tribes in the Samoas. You go to the Caribbean, you have the Arabs, the Caribs. You go to the Middle East, you have the different factions. You go in Africa, same thing happened. That was all happened before that. Go to Japan, same thing was happening. You go to China, same thing, which is worse today. Funny how that works, but that was going on too, because again, with the mullahs and the Huns, Alexander the Great with the Egyptians. Same thing happened with the fighting with the kings and queens and stuff in Europe. Same thing with the Vikings. another Viking tribe took another Viking tribe. They enslaved people. It has happened from almost beginning of time. Okay, and in most cases, like I said, those Africans already had slaves, and because they could use them as a commodity, as we saw with the Arabs did, they gave them so they could get the gold, the spices, whatever. They traded their slaves that they caught from other villages, the kings and queens in the African tribes who had slaves, traded them out so they could get the gold, the silver, or the pepper or salt, which was very, was a trade of the world. It has been happening. These are the things we need to teach our kids, that, and not what these professors in these colleges now teaching, this nonsense that they're teaching now. Is just so stupid. Just not helping nothing. But that's what we need to teach the kids in that way. Well, slavery was invented 400 years ago in the States. You've been a smart butt tonight, Mr. Double A. And again, remember, Mao Zedong, Mao Zedong for China, when people talk about how bad Hitler was and everything, killing 20 million people, Stalin, because of Marxism, killed 40 million people, but it was his own people. And Mao Zedong killed 80 million of his people. As you stated there, Double A, you're correct. Nobody talks about those stuff. Funny how that works. You kill your own, oh, nobody want to talk about it. You kill somebody else, that's a whole different story. World, huh? The world. But what can I say? So let's get into two more topics and then we'll call it a night from that. So in America, you know what? Piggybacking off of what I just stated about with Herman Cain and pointing that point, that again, you got to prove. I've said this before and I'll say this again. Just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean that I will lie on you to prove you wrong. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna lie on you. If I think you're wrong, you're gonna mess up on your own. I have a video on my YouTube channel about this again. Like I said, there's stuff that the president has done I don't like. The president right now, and there's stuff the president has done I do like. Even tilt as I could be, and I call it what I see. I did it for President Obama. I did it for President Bush and President Clinton. All of them have some evils, and oh boy, I want to talk about someone. You see, here's the problem: is I want to talk about some Bush evils that a lot of people don't talk about. People just know about the war. Oh, there were way more evils that I have a problem with, but when the time comes, I'll talk about that. That makes me why I say I cannot be as much as I was. When I came to America in 2000, I was a Democrat. I registered as a Democrat. And 2000, after 2008, and seeing what's going on, I said, nope, I can't do that. I can't. And I was like, oh, should I change it to Republican? I'm like, nope, can't do that either. Nope. I don't like it. As I've said before, there's nothing more hate than a Republican and a Democrat. Sorry. But I don't like both of them at all. But the evils of one is very, very pronounced, and the other one, just because they're cowards and just whatever, and I can't go with that. Again, i.e. what I said, this is why the reason I voted for Barack Obama over John McCain. But I'm saying this because you could prove them wrong in situations. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Just ridiculous that I gotta do this, but hey, whatever. So I am a proponent of local news. They get things wrong just as much, but they don't get things as wrong, thank God, as 24/7 mainstream media. I am not a mainstream media fan. I am a person who look at different types of news sources so I can get to understand different things. Because we get spin from your CNN, your MSNBC, your Fox News. You get spin. You have to watch all of them and find distill the dissenting truth between them. It's sad, but that's what it is. That's why I have a video. I think POM 4 or 5. I can't remember episode 5 where when I said news comes with homework now, that you just can't listen to news verbatim unless you could see. Oh, if they say right now there's a thunderstorm outside your window, I'm like, thunderstorm, lightning. Well, you know what? You are correct there, sir and madam. You're correct. But when they say all that stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So, of course, President Trump tweeted out about why there's a problem with vote-in ballots. Okay, there's a problem with it, and he could commit fraud. The problem is, and then people miss it because he's a Republican, so they say, "Oh, no." Both sides have done this, and I'll show you that. But again, I have respect for local news when they get the time to do it. That's why I showed you the local news about the COVID thing with it reporting numbers down in Florida, because local news had the time to go and do stuff. The mainstream media don't have time to go look into all this nonsense. Kind of just want to give you clicks and whatever, have you as mindless sheeps watching stuff, and they say, "Oh," and that's it. No, I'm not gonna insult your intelligence. You guys are giving me your ears, your time, your eyes. So I am thinking that you're smart individuals and not people, like I always say, people, stupid individuals, smart, to listen and form your own opinion out of things. So with that, so they try to prove the president wrong by saying, "Oh, well, he's wrong about this voting ballot, whatever, blah, 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 don't happen." One thing, here's a problem. It should be a federal law that you have voters ID, and then we mark off the voters ID. So one, we know there's no system that is not. In other words, we can't tell when people say, "Oh, well, we don't have Johnny stealing." Well, you don't do bookkeeping. If you bookkeep, you'll find out Johnny's stealing. So if we have voters registered, like in St. Thomas, they have registered. In my country, they have some countries out there who even put a little thing on your arm so you can't a little paint, a whatever, so you can't go vote again. And America can't put their stuff together to not do that. Get out of here. That's why I'm not a proponent of Tiki Barber in North Carolina. Again, the way he did in the past, all good. But his nonsense right now, no, sir, I'm not a fan of you because of what you've said. You think black people are stupid, and he's a black man. I don't like that. I mean, and I'm not talking about that they ain't that, but when I'm talking about the simple mind of reducing people to really that stupidity that, oh, we can't get our voters ID because we don't know how to use a computer. And he was not. You were the head of the NCAA. That organization itself is whatever. Again, when you become in power, you come corrupted. La Raza, NAACP, all these companies that thought whatever, all these unions, they get in there, they come after a while, they get in power, they can come corrupt. Anyway, point taken. So they say that Trump is lying, President Trump is lying. Because again, you don't have a system to say, hey, I voted. If I voted, I walk in and think, hey, Tig, I have a voter's card with my whatever affiliation where I'm supposed to. I have a voter's card, and I will show it when I go vote November. So people are like, hey, I voted. Here you go, and all that stuff. We in North Carolina, we've funny enough, for the second time we voted against it, but a judge, the second time a black judge, the first one was a white one, said that's unconstitutional, which is not. But it's weird. But we can't figure out. But we could figure out ways to not have you waste our money, and that'll be a very good thing too. You corrupt pieces of craps. But they said that and Twitter and all WAPO, and they were like, oh, the president is lying. There's no fraud. voting fraud. How stupid you must be think I am. But you know what? I bring those receipts. So I want to play this video of somebody locally doing something in New York, and it's not Fox News, it's CBS saying this. Again, I have different sources to show you this. So let's go. Give me a second here. And I want you to listen to this.
If you
Let me set it back up. Take a listen to this. Local news.
If you know how to mail a letter, you already know how to mail in your vote. How you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. But how long might it take for that vote to actually arrive and be counted? Oh, you're welcome. Have a good afternoon. We decided to test it, sending 100 mock ballots simulating 100 voters from locations all across Philadelphia to a P.O. box we set up to represent a local election office. A couple days later, we mailed 100 more using the same size envelopes and the same class of mail as real ballots here. To approximate the weight, we even folded mock votes into every one. In the following week, we checked our P.O. box for the results.
Mail pickup notice, there's more.
When we went to collect everything, though,
Nothing?
most of our votes seemed to be lost.
That's all I have back there right now. That's
You're
nothing.
sure, huh? You're totally sure. I believe you. I just...
All right, good. Have a good day.
Okay, take care.
We had to ask for a manager
I'm trying to do something about mailing ballots.
and explain ourselves before someone finally found our votes.
They have me somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
1, 2. We soon discovered another problem: missorted mail. 2 pieces of it.
We got a birthday card from Mike to Ronnie. Have a sweet B-day. Get it? There's a B on top.
When the birthday greetings ended,
12, 13.
we found a bigger issue. 21% of our votes hadn't materialized after 4 days. And the batch we'd mailed a week prior, some of those were missing too.
So of our 100 ballots, 97 arrived, which sounds pretty good, unless you consider the fact that that means 3 people who tried to vote by mail in our mock election were in fact disenfranchised by mail.
In a close election, 3% could be pivotal, especially in what's expected to be a record year for mail-in voting.
We're going to see somewhere between probably 80 and 100 million voters receiving their ballot that way.
The Postal Service says voters should mail their return ballots at least 1 week prior to the due date. But nearly half of all states still allow voters to request ballots less than a week before the election. So you can forgive the public
How that makes sense.
tad confused.
How long do you think the post office recommends?
About 3 days, 2 to 3 days.
They're saying at least a week.
A week?
They're saying at least a week for your vote.
I just don't trust the mail. That's true.
You don't trust the mail either?
Well, I just don't. I would like to give, especially during COVID, give them ample time to deliver it.
I don't trust it.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm scared that it might get lost in the mail. I just want to make sure that my vote is submitted. Like, I see that it's submitted, that it actually counts.
Tony DeCopel, CBS News, New York.
Amen, sister. Smart black people. They are. Mr. Tiki Barber and all you other crappy people. I played a clip where the white people think that black people that stupid. The white leftists think that black people that stupid. Yeah. There you go. Funny how that works, ain't it? I'm just saying, local news, I give shout outs to local news for that. They can get things wrong too, but I rather trust them more. At least sometimes they get a good eye on the ground situation compared to others. Mainstream media just takes up stuff and I hate them. But just stating that right now, how that works out. But you would say, but Tig, okay, that's a bad. But people won't, that's just an example this guy did. Have there been people we know have done horrible stuff? Again, I got them receipts. Yes, they are. Let's go take a little look-see here. Shall we? I'm just two of them. Let me put this here so I know. All right. You could check out it all you want as I put in the screen. The United States Department of Justice. This was Thursday, May 21st, 2020. Former Philadelphia judge of election convicted in conspiracy to violate civil rights and bribery, changing the votes, and he pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty. Of course, changing the votes. All right, changing the votes. Voting fraud happens. Excuse me. Apologize for that. Voting fraud happens. Dominic J. Dumero, 73, of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, pleaded guilty during a C proceeding in March 16, 2020, U.S. District Court, Paul Diamond, in conspiracy to deceive persons, civil rights, and using in-state facilities to aid or bribery. The court unsealed the matters today. Sentencing is scheduled for June 30th. 2020. During his guilty plea hearing, Dominic admitted to that while serving as the elected principal judge of election, he accepted bribes in the form of money and other things of value in exchange to add in ballots to increase the voter totals for certain candidates on the voting machines in his jurisdiction for certified tallies all the ballots, including the fraudulent ballots. Romero further admitted that the local political consultant gave him direction and paid him money to add votes for a candidate supporting his constituents, including candidates of judicial office whose campaign actually hired the consultant, and other candidates for their federal, state, and local elective offices preferred by the consultant for the variety of reasons. The member also admitted. Apologize for this. Also admitted that the votes he added to exchange for payments by the political consultant increased the number of votes fraudulently recorded in the tally. Considered clients and preferred candidates, and hereby diluted the ballot casting actual votes. Defiant abused his office by engaging in election voter fraud for profit. Whew, a federal judge. Oh, wow. See? The United States Department of Justice. Okay, I'm not a fan. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of CNN, the main thing. But again, I have to still look at it to find certain things. So let's switch. That was a federal judge that did that. And remember, and CNN is one of the NMSA would say, well, the president is wrong. There's no voters fraud. And you write stuff like this, CNN. City councilman among 4 facing voter fraud charges in New Jersey. City councilman and councilman-elect among the 4 people charged with voting fraud related to the May 12 municipal election in New Jersey. Attorney General Gubert Newell announced Thursday. Patterson City Councilman Michael Jackson, really? Michael Jackson, Councilman-elect Alex Menendez, Shalim Khalik, and Abu Raisin have been charged with criminal conduct involving mail-in ballots during the election. And these are people who have been charged. They have been convicted. Not only charged, they've been convicted too. Funny how that works. Now those 2 was Democrats, but again, people are like, oh well, the Democrats. No, I don't want it even on the Republican side. We need to have the system. We need voter ID so people vote once and once only, so you be straight and not effed up. And you need to be a citizen of the United States. I'm sorry, California, with your nonsense, but if you got a driver's license, you can vote. And that's why I was against President Trump. He was like, oh well, we didn't. The popular vote. He 3 million people voted more for Hillary Clinton than President Trump. Technically speaking, 2 million, because 2 million was fraudulent because California, which again, that's what I was like, President, can you shut up? Because you're not going to win California. It was going to be Democrat no matter what. But it was that bad that they had, if you have a driver's license, you could vote, but you're not a citizen. That's crazy. But I don't want it on the other side either. In my state I live in, there was a voter fraud in North Carolina, alleged. Well, we know alleged. It was a conviction as well too. State ballot election revealed Wednesday that more than 35,000 people may have been double voting by casting ballots in North Carolina and other states during the 2012 election. Again, I could go through this stuff. Like I said, the voter. That's the whole point. It is voter fraud. It is. Go to Chicago. People who have been dead, including with the mass killing that's been going on now by other people, and people are taking their votes and whatever. And North Carolina had to stop voter farming. But in California, for some reason, they made it a law that you can vote for them. In other words, you could go to people's houses, pick up their mail-in ballots. You could throw it in the trash. You could maybe open it and put something else in there. North Carolina, thank you for making that against the law. California made it into a law. What kind of nonsense is this? But again, CNN, MSC, all these people, the president is wrong. There's no such thing as voter fraud. Again, I'm using ABC, NBC, CNN. You gotta be kidding me. Mom, I know you don't listen to the show, but I thank you for you giving me the critical thinking that you have installed on my brain. Thank you, Lord, and thank you, Mom and Grandma. Man, this is ridiculous. I thank you for that. I really do. You have shown me that. Crazy. Now, I do want to talk about one more thing before I call it a night. So let me sit. Oops. Sorry about that. Let me set this up. Give me 1 second. Let me set it up. Show me this. Let's just put it on my lovely face for now. I want to talk about this. Because I am a testimony. And a little evidence, but a testimony of what this is. So let me find that. And I want to play this. Because again, I don't like how the media does certain, like I said, the mainstream media, the 24/7 news thing is a setup. And again, I always like how these people is like that. Oh, you have the nerve to with your holiness. No, no, you should not be. It's annoying. It's annoying. It's annoying. But let me get to this, because again, I am a testimony of this. I want to bring this up. So, as usual, the president tweets. At first, I'll be honest with anybody out there. At first, when he became president, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I don't like this. Can you stop? Can somebody stop it from tweeting for the other stuff, whatever?" But then I realized, you know what? I rather, because after the former president, how that worked out. Even the New York Times at the time, when New York Times was kind of before it went over the rail. Check 2 videos ago when I talk about you got to do your homework. When they over the went to the rail, then how they do stuff now. Let me show. I was not a fan of it, but then after, like I said, the New York, okay, the lady who ran the New York Times was saying President Obama was the most secretive, non-transparent president she has ever seen in the many years she ran the New York Times. I think she ran it from since the 90s, and saying that, and the reason, so that made me realize, you know what? Yeah, I rather know what the president said. As dumb as he say a lot of dumb stuff, and I wish that the media could just leave it alone. If I've said it again, if you want to get rid of a man, do not add nothing. Do not lie on a man. Don't just let it sit there and let it be there. Do not add nothing to. If he say something stupid, let it stay there. Don't add nothing to it. Because when you do that, you change the story, and then people feel sympathetic. Don't do it. If you say something stupid, leave it alone. Don't lie. Don't change it. Just repeat what he said if you want to go that far, media, and that's about it. Don't try to interpretate and whistle speak, whistle blow, all that nonsense. I just made it way worse than what you would think. And then people are like, that's not what he said, and they sympathize with him. Don't do that. Just repeat what he said, leave it as is. Let it hang in the air. Just like when people do a joke that's bad or in bad taste, don't say, oh man, just let it. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to say nothing. Let it hang. I'd rather, but at least I know what he's thinking, as bad as it is sometimes, or good as it is sometimes. So he tweeted this. And of course, the media and white left people went the other way, which always annoys the hell out of me. Good grief. Anyway, so I'll put it on the screen. So the president put in it, I am happy to inform all the people who are living in their suburban lifestyle dream that you will no longer be bothered or financially hurt by having low-income housing built in your neighborhood. Your housing prices will go up based on the market, and the crime will go down. I have rescinded the Obama Biden AFFH rule. Enjoy. The reason I said that is I wish you did it earlier. That could have worked for me. But basically, the rule was to the rule was to get people into a house. Basically, put Section 8 in places that Section 8 should have never really been in. So I just want to talk about that. So here you go. Came to America, 2000, worked my butt off, hard as I can, got my 2 degrees, started my company in 2002. Didn't realize, started my company in 2000, started T3 Records in 2002, got my 2 degrees, but did not gain any worked hard for 2002. I didn't get no recognition until 2005. So it took me 3 years to really get to that level where where I could make money, I could do stuff with TT Records and everything like that. Worked hard. All right. As you can see, black man right here. Okay. So with that regard, I worked hard. I put stuff together, and then made a decision to, of course, get my house. Got my house. In case of the basically the re-upload, for some weird reason the internet is acting weird, so they're dropping my frames. I apologize for that. I don't know what's going on. That one is out of my control. So you could please, if you have a chance, check the re-upload on YouTube at Project Mike Project Mike on YouTube. Okay, just let me finish it off and continue with this. So what happened was, like I said, I worked hard. I worked hard, and got a house. I remember the person, the broker, when she saw my credit score, and she was like, "Wow, your credit score is pretty good for that short amount of years." I said, "Thanks to again my mom. I thank her for again the blessing to teach me financials, how to do some stuff financially. As I said before, we need to teach our kids that." And because of that, I got a house. I got a nice neighborhood. I moved into a nice neighborhood. Neighborhood was comprised of like I said, you had people, you had black people, you had white people, you had people who also like me immigrated over, Africans. Across the street from me had African people, and then across of the to the, if let me see from the house, to the right of me had African family. Across the street to the left was African family. To the left of me was Hispanic family. Across the street was black, and across upper was, so think of it like it was, let me see if the record show, maybe I can show it so we have a reference. So I'm going to show it as a reference. There we go. That should, hopefully that is how that works out. How that works out there. Of course. You gotta love Facebook for certain things. Anyway, like I said, it'll be re-uploaded. It'll be uploaded. So with the tweets that the president, so I'm going to say what it is. So this is just an example of if can be seen. Just where did the light? Now the light's acting weird. There you go. I kind of camera's trying to focus on it. I apologize for that. There we go. So the M is me. So the AB is basically African black. Across the street was American black. Over here, like I said, that's white. The other way was black and like I say Hispanic, just to give representation. So with the representation of that happen, nice neighborhood, no problem, things was all good. They built some apartments. Apartments were very nice. I have to admit, they were very nice apartments. They were not in the same subdivision, but it was down from that subdivision. And with that setup that was down from that subdivision, from that subdivision, they turned the those apartments into how should I say this? They turned those apartments into Section 8, into for welfare to go in there. As a fact happened, and it killed me too. Remember, a single dad with kids don't get the Section 8. Single mom with kids get Section 8. How that works, it is what it is. It's also affect more white people than black people, but again, because there are more people on welfare than black people, still have that situation there. So these black after a while, let's just say problems happen in the neighborhood. It didn't happen the first year nor the second, but after a while, it got to a point where things got really bad. Not really, really bad, but bad enough that I took my black butt and got the hell out. And because of what like I said, because of what the president was talking about. And people's like, oh, it's dog whistling and all that stuff. Oh, shut up with that nonsense. But anyway, situation with this. Some people try to they try to break in my house twice. And I was talking, funny enough, I was talking to my sister about this because she could tell you that she's messed up what happened as well too, because she was there when they tried to break in the house the second time, and my grandmother, my aunt was there when they tried to break in the first time. Again, that lady, God bless her strength, that old lady, 94 years old. Thank you, Grandma. But the thing that happened was this. My house got broken in twice. Another thing that happened is, I apologize for the noise. Twice. And the neighbor above me, like I showed you, the African neighbor that way, he got his house breaking into from the front side, which is brazen enough that these kids would do this. Across the street from him, the one that white neighbors, they got broken into twice. The black Americans that was in front of me got broken into once. The African didn't because they were older people. They were at the house all the time. The Hispanic got broken into once, and it was just horrible what they did to his house. They got into the house. They went to his toilet. They took a massive. Let's just put it. They used the toilet. They did a number 2, and they stuffed it with paper, and they flushed the toilet in a way to the toilet thing, and if the toilet basically combusted back up whatever they put in the toilet, which was feces. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? So you know what? He moved. He moved. He gave the house to his wife because things that that didn't work out between them the way it was. The wife gave the house to Section 8 and send people move into that house too. Now the house that we were living in was nice house, just with nice houses. Not great, but nice starter home for a family. You could get something going. Nice house. And then give it to this lady. And of course, it was given to a young female. Had kids. Funny again how that works. Then she started to have guys staying there. She had kids. One of the kids was older. Playing music at the most weirdest times at night. And I remember I was talking to a person. The person was telling me, "Oh, I said these. I do not use the word. I do not use the word lightly because I take it for what it is. Okay, people call me that word. It does whatever the N word, but I don't use. I use it for what it means as a disparaging term. And sorry, it was. And I remember a person I was talking to. She was like, "Well, you can't say about that." I said, "Oh, yes, I can because," and I quote, "at Sunday morning, 1:30 in the morning, when they were playing their music, whatever, which was annoying. One of the guys came home and then stayed and said, as I quote, shouted it out, 'Hey, Felix, move your car, Enner, move your car.'" 1:30 Sunday morning, people trying to get sleep and stuff. Okay. And then when they they did that house was a nice house, and then they put it has central air, but they put in these window which but they put in window and not even the best window AC. They put in the most ghettoest looking window ACs out of something. I'm like, what are you? It's a 4-bedroom house. How are you not getting enough AC to the whole house? What's going on here? It's crazy. And of course, even though with that, she couldn't pay the very low rate that she had, she couldn't even pay that. So, of course, when they moved out, they junked the house and also threw their old furniture, broken furniture on the front lawn. And of course, after my house got broken in twice, I was like, you know what? I'm out. So, to what President Trump put there, because people say, "Oh, that's that." Let me put it what it said. It said translate. This is why I hate the media again. Like I said, translation. Stop doing this nonsense, mainstream media. If you're whatever, but y'all do. Translation. Hey, affluent white people, vote for me, and I will keep those scary black and brown people out of your neighborhood. Andy Ostray. Oh, Andy Ostray, I got a question for you, sir. Says you said. I remember you. One of you people was like. I remember you were like, "Oh, I don't in Portland. Okay, you're from Portland. Oh, this is not a. I don't see what the president everybody's talking about. The Portland protesters are not violent. They're not doing any damage. Oh, then He said, I went out there and it was peaceful, everything was good. Went back to his house. These a-holes destroyed my apartment and blah, blah, blah. Oh, now you call them savages. Remember the one I showed you about when it said burn, the other one where the guy was like, burn it down, and these savages down the street, get these savages out of my neighborhood. White leftists to kill me. They're the most white supremacist persons out there. You all talk about a right. I'm scared more than left because they pretend to be your friend and stab you in the back so much times. Translation, whatever. Hey, translation that, hey, I moved out of the neighborhood I had, which was a nice neighborhood, and you could raise for because they put Section 8 in there, and then they literally put Section 8 across from the house I have. I'm seeing what they have done. Okay? That's a problem, sir. Piece of crap. And that's why I move. And my sister could tell you the same thing too. We move out of the city. We say, screw the city. We move to the countryside. Have your own property, your own land. You could do whatever, whatever. That's what we did. And I'm happy for that move. I thank God that I was blessed to do that. Because after that house, the first one, that house right there, I thought, I am lucky that I came to America and bought a brand new house after working hard for 8 years. I thought maybe I'll buy me a used house next time, but nope. God has blessed me again to get this house, which was constructed brand new. I'm the first owner in this house, and that's what I love about that. And of course, you got the response from Dana, a white person, talking to a black person that was like kind of like me, was like, yo, I'll put it I can't put a comment on this. I'll read a comment because again, I don't know what's going on with the internet or basically I'm getting a stream problem. So again, check out the replay on youtube.com Project Open Mic. You interpret it in that way because that's how you think. You're a racist. This is a black man saying you're racist. I am black and I escaped the low income areas by the years of sacrificing and doing hard work. I don't want to return to that element and have it return to around me, period. I want to raise my children in a safe environment. That's a black man saying that. Then comes this a woman behind him stating this. You have some nerve with your holier than thou attitude. Sound like you're in an economic racist. Oh my God, I hate leftists. But only since you pull yourself up to where you think you can look down on others. Shaking my head. And then when you go on your 5 minutes, is a person named Dana. You click on that. She lives of course, in the palatial house with security gates. The pot calling the kettle metal. What the heck, lady? All you people just annoy me. So he want to raise his family. He want to raise his kids in a nice, safe place. You have a problem, but says you who are in your gated community. Kind of funny how you say that and say you sound economic racist. What the heck? Again, white leftists are people, the most white supremacist people I have ever seen. And I've seen it going on too much right now. And these are the one who send these kids to destroy stuff. And then these kids like, we don't have a job. But there's no job. Why are college tuition going down? You burned down the college and you surprised the college tuition went up? How about don't burn down the college dorms, you morons? It's just simple thinking. But we don't teach our kids that. And they destroy it. There's a reason why, as I read with Orwell 1984, why a lot of the most despicable people try to get young youths. There are a lot of African warlords who get young kids because you can manipulate their minds easier. And those are kids who know to use AK-47 machine guns and stuff I could not even use, but they could use that at 10 years old. Because you can. It's crazy, but it happens. So for the people who want to work hard and get to where they get to, like I said, thank you, President, for rescinding that That is a good thing, because that's not stuff. I'm only anecdotal evidence of what happened, but again, I can't argue it moved to a better place. But it was wrong what happened to the Hispanic guy to the left from me, what happened to his house, and that was just nonsense. For that to happen was just horrible, that people were breaking and do that. And again, it doesn't mean that you gotta be black people. There are a lot of white people who are also on Section 8, and their kids being from single mothers who don't have the father in the house or whatever. They also do horrible and bad things as well too, or same thing with Hispanics as well too. As I showed you, evil comes in all things. It comes in all shapes, color, race, gender, height, sexuality, country. Evil is evil. It doesn't make no difference in that regard. And that's the sad part about it. But again, I'll leave it at that. We'll pick up this conversation next week, Thursday as well. We might do a little something on the side chat. So with that stated, let me, as you guys would know, it's come to the end. It's game over time. I apologize again. I don't know what happened to the stream, the internet, and something with you going on. So I apologize for that. So if you want to check the long cast, as I stated, the upload will be on Project Open Mic on YouTube. Remember, if you want to catch us, you could catch us at Project Open Mic on Twitter, Project Open Mic Instagram. And if you want to directly contact Project Open Mic at projectopenmic3@gmail.com. Again, want to thank you guys for joining me again. Next week we'll talk about part 3, where I could show more stuff, because there's just so much evidence that we are fail our kids, and I just want to talk about, again, to show my receipts, as they would call it, the young kids use today, and show them what's going on in the world, of course, today. Which is sad. It really is. But again, thank you once again, YouTube, Project, Facebook, and of course Temporary Fan, for checking that in. And I want you guys, it's Friday, so you guys have a good night, relax, enjoy with your family. Hope you have a safe weekend. Catch us again tomorrow, hopefully with the side chat tomorrow or Saturday. We might be experiencing some stuff, of course, but hey, it is what it is. So this is Tig for Project Open Mic, episode 7. Again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you guys have a safe night with you and your family. Peace out. Oh yeah, no, I didn't peace out. Usual. People are stupid, individuals smart. Please be that smart individual. All right? You have a good night.